Question before the body is passage of Senate Bill 4. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Perry 84 for discussion of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I speak on the bill, please?
Yes, sir.
Search warrants, no-knock search warrants, been a big topic of discussion in the last year or so. My phone has blown up the last year just like everybody else's has. You know, I stand here today with mixed emotions about this legislation. I had an amendment, I'm not going to call it, but it dealt with fentanyl, derivatives of fentanyl. The reason I had the amendment or talked about the amendment was because 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago we had 10 overdoses in one day in Hazard. 3 people dead, 5 people had to be triple Narcan. 2 other people had to be double Narcan just to live. And the last 2 that had to be double Narcan were police officers that responded to the overdose. You know, as I watched the things that unfolded in Louisville last year and you know, being a state trooper for 20 years and working in the drug world for about 9.5 years, and being the lead man that went into a lot of houses on search warrants, we never served as a unit any no-knock warrants. All of our warrants were knock and announced. But as I sit here today and you know, I heard the statement, how do we save lives? I heard the statement, unsafe policing. You know, what I saw on Louisville Metro's live feed last year as the rioting was going on, I saw lawful protesters, many who were lawful, many that were there because of the cause that they felt was that they needed to be there. And then I saw unlawful protesters that were burning things in the streets, busting windows out. And I saw police officers. I laid in my bed at night with my phone, and I watched the live feed of not white police officers, not black police officers, but brothers and sisters in uniform as a representative of the laws of the state of Kentucky that were there to enforce the laws. But they were required those nights to stand back, to have bottles of urine thrown on them, to stand and let people cuss them, threaten them, go to their houses. You know what unsafe policing is? Not letting the police do their job. When they have to stand there and take what happened, I'm not saying that it wasn't a tragedy that Breonna Taylor was killed, but that was not a no-knock search warrant. It was signed as one, but it was not executed as one. Unsafe policing is the police having to stand down and watch as cities and places are burned to the ground. That's unsafe policing. Are there bad police officers? Absolutely. Sad to say, I helped arrest 3 different police officers when I was a trooper and detective. Yes, there's bad actors. And there's nobody that dislikes the bad actors as much as good police officers who stand for what the badge stands for, what the uniform stands for. But as I looked at those things that were going on in Louisville on those nights, I didn't see bad police officers or bad people. I saw a broken society. So when did society begin to break? If you go back to 1962, the Bible was taken out of the schools. There was a time when teachers stood up in front of a classroom and read Psalm 1, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight's in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. That's what our schools were being taught years ago. But 1962, we as America, we began a downhill slide in society. And now we're seeing it in the way people are. Not bad people, but broken people. We come up here and we throw money at projects and we want to make this part of Kentucky good and that part of Kentucky good, when the truth and reality is this: until we're willing to throw ourselves at these people, not money, but ourselves. I'm talking about our time and our love, and make a difference in their lives. Our society will never get better until we're allowed to lift up the name of Christ in the public sector again. Society will never get better. We as a church, and I'm a pastor, we as a church, until we get uncomfortable with staying inside the four walls of the church and decide to go out into the streets and hollers of our state, society won't get better. Banning no-knock warrants, that's not the answer. Holding police accountable, yes, absolutely, absolutely. But holding people that are drug traffickers and lawbreakers accountable, that's absolutely what we've got to do. Society's broken, but it's not because of one event that happened in this city or another city. It's because society's broken because we kicked out the God that we got up there in front of the room that says, "In God we trust." We've kicked him out of the public sector. And it's taboo to mention God or Jesus in a public. City police officers are the ones I love the most. I'm partial to the state police, because I know what it takes to be a police officer. I know what it's like to be the first person through the door on a search warrant and not know what's on the other side. I know what it's like to lead a group of other troopers and police officers through the door of a drug house that's responsible for killing more people than the coronavirus has. But we don't have daily press conferences talking about people overdosing. We use it for a political ploy and political talk. We're against the opioid, and we are. But there's so much more to what we do and how we impact our communities, and that's throwing ourselves in our community, being difference makers. And I know that's why we came here, to make a difference. But at home, we've got to stay involved in our communities. My heart breaks for a society, the young people in Louisville and the young people in Hazard that have no guidance. And until we step up and say, okay, we can see where it started downhill. Let's put God back where he's supposed to be. Let's hold people accountable, whether it's the police or citizens. Let's all be accountable for our actions. I will vote for the bill today. But I just want to stand and tell the police officers across the state and the country that I love them, I admire them, and I've got their back, and I would hope that we would do the same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.